We're live back. We're back for another week. Hello everybody and welcome back to I Can't Breathe, the show where air is free, see the change, be the change. And today, if you saw our post on Instagram, then you'll see that we are starting our brand new mini-series. I want to thank everyone who was on the show in recent times when we were doing our mini-series, What is the Goal? We were talking about what is the goal of Black Lives Matter, and I wanted to use the word goal because the word goal has intention, whereas the word dream or the word ideal, things can stay a dream and stay an ideal without much action, but a goal isn't a goal until it's scored. So that's why I really wanted to use the word goal. But right now we're starting a brand new series called Let's Hear It From the Youth. Now, if you're new to us as Young and Talented, we are an organization who support and facilitate young people. We're an organization that supports and facilitates all young people who are interested in the arts. So young people who are interested in singing, young people who are interested in acting, in dancing, sometimes in other creative forms as well, like spoken word. Sometimes we do certain projects that have to do with digital media. What we really love to do is we love to support and build up young people on their journey in discovering what it is that they would like to do in the arts. And it also provides other support in terms of like academic support, also in the world of work, in the actual acting world, because our director and founder Suzanne is brilliant with transitioning people from Young and Talented to the world of work and the world of performing. I am a living example of that. And so we're an organization that loves to champion and build up young people. And I've been doing this show now this is the 15th episode. And I'm so happy with how we've done and so glad and happy with the support that we've been getting for the show. But I knew that I needed to hear it from the young people themselves. So over the next coming weeks, I'm going to be getting possibly some people from Young and Talented themselves and other young people, typically people who are around the age of 18 or below, and hearing what they have to say, because information is so accessible these days that we can't count out our young people. We can't say that they don't understand, that they're not emotionally mature enough, because their access to a lot of things, or our access to a lot of things, are a lot easier than they used to be. So I know that people say that this generation is a lot more woke, but it just means that we have more access to information, and it means that we can't be silenced. So I really don't want our young people to feel like they have been silenced. They can't vote, which also makes it feel like they're silenced. Trust me, I've been there, because I was under 18 when the whole Brexit vote happened. So I wasn't able to really let my voice be heard in that sort of sense. And yet things are still eluding, and I'm 20 years old and I have to live with that now, even though I wasn't able to use my voice when the actual vote was happening. So I'm going to stop waffling now, and I'm going to get on to having our guest on. But I really want you to listen to the youth, listen to what they're saying, because the youth really do know what they're talking about, and their view or their opinion is just as important as anyone over the age of 18, anyone over the age of 20, anyone over the age of 30. If we're really going to be about change, then we got to be people who are willing to listen, and not only willing to listen to the voices that we think matter, but willing to listen to all voices. So without further ado, our first young person that we're having on the show today, he is an amazing dancer. I mean, the vibes that this guy has when he's dancing on the stage is absolutely unreal. And I'm so glad to have him on the show, and to have this discussion with him. So without further ado, a man like Bolu, we're gonna invite you on now. Of course, as I always say, if you're watching this or if you join this live, this is a conversation between me and Bolu, but this is also a conversation between everyone. So feel free to ask us any questions that you want. What's up, Bolu? How you doing?
Yo, bro, good to see you. I'm good.
Good to see you, man.
Good to be here, man. Good to
Yeah,
be
man.
here.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute, man. What you been up to,
Yeah,
mate?
it was my birthday yesterday, so that was pretty wild. Turned 17.
Yeah, sick. Happy birthday.
It's been a... Thank you, man. Thank you. It's been a good month. Just a lot of transitioning now into like further walks of life, but it's been good. Feeling good. Yeah, man.
Sick. So, what do you mean with transitioning into further walks of life? Because you just turned 17, so does that mean you're in year 12? Year 12?
Yeah, 12. Yeah, started sixth form. That's what I mean by it.
Oh, six. So
Yeah.
you're a part of the year that got their GCSE results during, like, everything that's been happening now, right?
Yeah, during the madness. Yeah.
Right. How was that for you?
Well, it was a bit daunting because we really didn't know what was going to come out of it. Like, we didn't know. It's like you've been working for something for like a year, endlessly, continuously, and then all of a sudden everything just stops and you're told, yeah, you can't keep working anymore. You just have to stay still. So it was a bit nerve-wracking. I don't know, the feelings were throughout the start of lockdown, it was just like, okay, where do we go from here? And that type of mindset. But I mean, we came out in the end. There was a bit of uncertainty before getting our grades, but I mean, you saw it through the protests, through like everyone just speaking out. Like, definitely the youth's voice was heard, which was good.
Yeah.
Like, we came out in the end, and for me personally, I came out with the grades I wanted, able to get into the school I wanted. So yeah, it was good transitioning. Yeah.
Sick. So I feel like we've already had a nice intro to you already, but for those who don't know you, could you just say a little bit about yourself? So your name, how old you are, where you're from, that kind of thing.
Great. So my name is Bolu. My name is Bolu Lawson. I'm 17 right now, just turned. I live in southeast London, around Lewisham sides. And what else should I say?
Oh no, just so I mentioned that you dance.
Yeah.
So like how long have you been doing that for?
I've been dancing for probably like 5 years now, I think, or maybe 5 or 6 years properly dancing. Just getting involved in stuff. I remember I started around like I was 11 or 12, which was when I started getting into it because my mum, she signed me up for like these street dance lessons when I was in like year 6 or year 5. And then so I did that, but I didn't really like it because I don't know, I was still a bit new to it all. So I didn't really know what I wanted to get into myself into. But I think when I hit like year 7, secondary school, and I joined my youth group at my church, I definitely just put myself in it, and like dancing in church, so dancing in my youth. I also sing as well, so I was doing like little choir stuffs at like Christmas events. So yeah, just things to get me involved, because my mum always pushed me and told me I should get involved in things, just to put myself out there. So I was doing that. And yeah, I think I'm very lucky to have like a youth group that like supply young people with like little hidden talents that they don't know of yet. Because if it wasn't for like my youth or my mum or like people like that, I probably wouldn't have gotten into like dance, singing, all that type of stuff. So yeah, that was it for me.
That's sick, man. So what has life been like? So have you always lived in Southeast London?
So my story is a bit crazy, can't lie. So I was born here. So I'm Nigerian, by the way. So I was born here.
Okay.
But at like a young age, I moved back to Nigeria with my family.
Oh,
Yeah, so I lived there for around like 7, 8 years, I think it was. And around, yeah, when I like turned 8, we moved back here, um, to start like schooling and whatnot. Um, so yeah, I've lived here for around what, like 10 years now. And yeah, it's just been like a different walk of life, because life is completely different when I was in Nigeria to when how I am now living in the UK. And like there was always a part of me that was from the UK, but until I came here, that's when I've fully, experienced it, like experienced the lifestyle. So yeah, so it's been
okay.
like a crazy journey.
Oh wow. So could you just like elaborate? So what were some of the differences like between living in Nigeria and living here?
Yeah, so I think like the culture, like in Nigeria, was very like traditional. Like growing up, it's very like there are traditions that you stick by. Like going church on Sunday. Meeting family every day. The food, the culture, like the traditions. It was even like schooling as well. Like I think I went to a boarding school when I was in Nigeria. My parents put me in a boarding school, so it's kind of like a different lifestyle. But over here, it's more like, I don't know. I got to see a different life. Like I went to public school, so that was different. Like also with stuff like just everyday life. Like being able to go outside, meet friends and stuff like that. I didn't really. I could meet friends in Nigeria, and like I had friends in Nigeria, but it wasn't so like free. It wasn't so like, I don't know. Maybe because I was probably young, so I wouldn't be able to meet people all the time. But I think there's two different walks of life. From my life in Nigeria, I've been taught about cultures and taught about traditions that I have to like that are rooted in me. But then in the UK, it's kind of like having a new perspective on life, having a new view on life, being able to do things that I never thought I could do before, like with the dancing, with the singing, and just like exploring new things about myself in this country. Yeah, that's been it so far.
Sick, man, sick. So you're currently at college studying, right?
Yeah.
What are you studying at college?
So at college, I'm studying business, economics, and media.
Oh, nice, nice. I actually did economics myself. Actually, is
Really?
that A level? You're doing A
Yeah,
level?
A level. Yeah.
Oh, sick. Okay. So what are you actually like aspiring to be? Like, do you have like a dream or like an aspiration or
Mm.
what are you saying?
So I think I'm quite a very like active person, so I see myself doing a lot of things in life. But I think for me, the two main things that I want to try and accomplish in life is one, becoming. So I'm really interested in marketing and advertising. So
Okay.
working with agencies to be able to create adverts, create media that influence people, that make people think about different perspectives in life, able to draw people in, attract people in, educate them. So I'm really interested in that, and the way of linking the creative side of media with like the business side of media, which is like maximizing profits and stuff like that. So that's like something I really want to get into through my A levels, and then obviously the other side of it, which is just like the creative side alone, is trying to like, I don't know, trying to put myself out there into like the performing arts industry, because I'm really interested in acting. I'm really interested in dancing, even singing as well. So it's just like, I don't know, and normally people say that you can't really do it all, you can't have it all, but for me, I don't know, I feel like there's an alleyway or a leeway between the middle of them, between the marketing, advertising, and the performing arts, that I can find a gap where I can, you know, just like be in that realm and do it all, literally. So it's about finding that platform to do that, and finding that, and just keep working at it until I get there. But that's for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say to those people who say like you can't have it all, you can't do it all. Is who told them that? Because I know that there are so many people who have proven that wrong. Like there are so many people who are actors, but then they own companies, and then they go on to perform on tour, and then they come back and they do like business, and then they have like this going for them, and like there are so many amazing people who know not to be limited by like what people think is okay. So you go in life, you do one thing for the rest of your life, and then that's it, and then you retire. It's your you know, it's your life, and it's your sort of decision on how you navigate that. And I never want any of our young people, at young and talented, yes, but any young people in general who are studying or anything, to be sort of placed in like a bracket, and people like pushing them and saying that you can only do one thing, you can only go down one path, and that's it. Like you can't do everything, you can't do it all. I mean, obviously, you know, and everybody knows, and it's common sense that you can't do everything in the world, but it's also safe to say that, like, who are you to tell me that I can't have multiple businesses in different sectors? Like, people have that now.
They do.
Yeah. So don't and I love how you said like don't ever limit yourself or put yourself in a box, man, because so many people are gonna try and do that. You know, then people don't really know what they're talking about. No, they don't really, they really don't. So more on topic. What happens to you sort of inside? Like, how do you feel when you witness injustice of any kind towards others or yourself? How do you respond?
So from my perspective, I think when I witness injustice from literally anyone, so it doesn't have to be someone who looks like me, it doesn't have to be someone, it can be anyone different to me, same as me. I think the natural response is like, why is this happening? Like, this is wrong. Because you have to think of it from a human perspective. Like, yes, they might look different than you, and yes, they might, you know, have come from different walks of life than you, but at the end of the day, you're human. So when you see conflict or damage being inflicted on another human, I think the natural response, and personally for me, the natural response is just to, you know, question it and try and learn more from a place of worry, or a place from care. I think what's interesting is when it's someone that looks like me, it kind of turns into like it's kind of like a sadness, but it's also an anger as well, because you know, as a young black boy, it's worrying to see those who look like you, that represent you, and being targeted and being, I don't know, kind of like lives taken, being taken because of the way they look, and that same look is the same look that looks at you. It fills you with a sadness and an anger for, why is this happening to those who look like me? Because it also questions, can that happen to me? And can that happen to my brother, my sister? Can that happen to someone who I love? I think from personal experiences, I've always tried to come from a place of, you know, being calm and composed, because that's important. It's important to not just rely only on your emotions at the time, because at the time I could be feeling so angry, and that could literally take over, and it could cause more of a conflict that could have been solved whilst being calm and collective, if you
Mm.
understand. But I think in the current climate, with all we've seen, the Black Lives Matter movement, I kind of understand the frustration and the anger coming from people, but I think it's always important to be wary of your emotions
Mm.
and know how to express them at the right time,
Mm.
because as frustrating as it is, as it is, hate doesn't cure hate, and at every moment we have to make sure that we can, instead of turning up the hate, we have to calm it down instead of just fanning the flames. And I think, especially for young people as well, because young people are so influential. They don't know it. They don't know it, but they are so influential, and what they say can literally shape someone's mind. So so by translating hate and fear and guilt and sadness onto someone else, it's just a knock-on effect, domino effect, and it makes everyone have the same mentality.
Mm.
But if you start to change, and if you start to come from a mind that's calm and collective and knows when to step in, when to use emotion, when to show emotion, it starts to, instead of toppling down, it starts to clear way for other people.
Mm.
So yeah, personally for me, I think you have to be weary about your emotions. You have to trust yourself and know that this is happening right now, yes, but it doesn't mean it's gonna happen in the later future. You have to work towards it not happening in the later future.
Mm.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Flames, bro. Flames, man. Everything you just said was sick. Was very, very sick.
Bro.
Just on the back of what you said, which I found very interesting, because you were right at the beginning. You sort of said that when this stuff happens, it then arises the question as to why. So, do you ever get the answer to that question? And if you don't, then how do you cope with not knowing the answer?
It's tough knowing the answer. I think it's a very complex situation that we face, with racism, and like racism towards like racism in general, and then racism towards people who are black, people who look like me. I think every day I try to understand it from my experiences, but I think it's rooted in a place of fear for the untapped potential of those who look like me, and I always make sure, instead of just like spreading like hate, you have to like praise yourself, because this is only happening because they see the potential you have, and they see how great and influential you can be. So that's why they try to oppress you, and that's why they try to put you down all the time. And yes, it's frustrating, and it really makes you think. It makes your head go crazy. It's like, why is this happening? And it makes you really wonder if it will happen to me, like I said before. But I think coming from a mindset of yes, this is happening, but I need to know that I am greater than what this is occurring in my life, and I'm greater than the hate that they pursue on me, and the hate that they translate on me. It helps clear your mind a bit on the reason of why it is happening, and it gives you solutions to try and tackle it. Yeah.
So sick, man. So sick. See, this is exactly why I made sure, and I wanted to make sure that we get young people on this show, because as I said again, Young and Talented, we are an organization that centers around young people, but it's also like young people have so much wisdom, like especially when it comes to the older generation, like Gen X, or like just older people. We can come to a place where like people don't listen to young people because they think that they don't know what they're talking about. They haven't lived enough life. they 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 haven't seen what I've seen. But the information's still there. The problem is still here. And if the problem is still here, then we're living through the problem. And if we're living through the problem, then there's got to be plenty of situations and circumstances where we felt the problem. And so if we're feeling it and we're experiencing it, then of course we're going to have something to say. So, bro, like seriously, like everyone in the chat, if you heard everything, if you heard even a little bit of what Bolu just said, then just put flames in the chat, man, because everything right now that he's saying is wisdom and flames. So I got another question that you kind of answered, but like I'd like it to be sort of like a little statement, as much as you can, and it's, what does Black Lives Matter mean to you in its simplest form? If you ever hashtag Black Lives Matter, what are you saying?
For me, Black Lives Matter, for me, it means that my existence means something to the likes of those that don't think that it does mean something. So let me explain on that. It means that those who judge me and those who think that I'm worth nothing, it means that I'm standing here and I'm saying to you that I mean something and that I am something and that I will show you I am something. And it's kind of like a statement, because a lot of people use the Black Lives Matter symbol or movement as a trend to show that, they care. And yes, it means you do care, and you're supporting something that's very integral. But I think we need to stop using it as like a trend, or as like something that shows we're socially aware, and use it as a declaration and a personal declaration that shows that my life matters. Because Black Lives Matter means that my life matters, your life matters, and people even in the chat, their life matters as well. So for me, it's like every time I use it, every time I say it, or every time it's said to me, it just means to me that you are here, you exist because of your own strength and the strength of others around you. So,
Sick, man. Sick. So as you were saying, like you basically like segued perfectly into my next question, because you talked about a lot of people using Black Lives Matter or hashtag Black Lives Matter as a hashtag or as a trend, because they know that anything hashtag Black Lives Matter is going to get likes, it's going to get seen. So, but how important has social media been to the movement and moving towards change? What role do you think that social media has played, good or bad?
I think it's both good and bad, because, well, from a positive standpoint, it's allowed people to really like connect with each other and connect to their emotions and their sorrows and whatever they're feeling to each other. It's given a platform of people to kind of like support each other through the tough times. And it's also really educated those who don't experience the same, pain or same encounters as us, those who are our counterparts. It kind of it's educated them. It's also shown them what the hype is, like what is actually going on. And it's given them a means to really process that. But I think what's kind of the bad parts about it is it's also incited a lot of fear into people's hearts. And like the way I see it is, someone told me this once, that fear leads to hatred in its own way. It's a kind of thing of, like, sometimes I'll go on my Instagram, I'm scrolling through, I'm just chilling, and I see like a black man being shot, and it's like I'm just on my own chilling with my family or something, and I go on Instagram and I see a black man who's been shot, and initially I feel a sense of fear, because I'm just like, what's happening? What's going on? Then after processing it and after processing that information, it then leads to this like little hatred inside me, because it's like, oh, this again? Like, why? And I watch the video more and I process it more, and I'm thinking to myself, why is this happening to someone who is innocent, or some just a normal person on a random day? And yeah, it does create this little hatred in your heart. And like I said before, like hatred, it can lead to many conflicts and many things that will rule your life and make you react to others in a very negative way. So I think social media has had its positive attributes, but also it's been able to spark fear in people's hearts that lead to the road of hatred. And it's not an intentional hatred. It's not like, oh, because a white police officer shot this black man who was unarmed, I hate all white people, or I hate this and that. It's a intentional hatred of, because they don't understand what I'm going through, I'm gonna treat them differently, which is not the way to deal with it. I think because everyone's learning this whole process. Everyone's going through it differently, and my experiences are different to those who are my counterparts. So I can't just force that feeling of hatred onto them, because they don't even know. They can't tell that, because they don't really understand it. It's not happening to them. All I can do is just educate them and let them know that we live different lives, and you have to see that. You have to understand why we live different lives. So I think all in all, social media has its positive and negative attributes, definitely.
Yeah, I totally agree. And just a quick side note, anyone who just joined the live, welcome. We're talking with Bolu today. We're talking about what is Black Lives Matter, what does that mean? But also we've started our new mini series, Hear It From the Youth, because we really want to champion young people and allow a space for young people's voices and feelings and experience to be heard, because we know that it's difficult for young people these days to feel like they're being heard because of, you know, because they're not able to vote, and in a lot of things in politics, a lot of the time it's not the young voices that are being put forward. It's not the young voices that are being sort of highlighted, and so we really want to create a platform and a space for young people to feel free to talk their talk. And yeah, and I love what you were saying about social media, and I do feel like social media in itself is great for information, because to be honest, how many people would have known about George Floyd if social media wasn't about? Like it would have been like word of mouth, people telling each other in that town. But if no one in my circle is from America or from that sort of place, then no one's going to know unless the media show it, which we all know they're not covering all the stories. So yeah, so I guess in that sense it does have its positives as well. Just check in a question in the so this is a very interesting question. It says, is Black Lives Matter done and dusted? The media are pushing that it's over or played out. And so so like if you saw, I spoke about this on the last couple shows, but if you saw, I think it was Diversity's performance on Britain's Got Talent, and how many complaints that got was absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of people's argument was that, okay, yeah, we get it. We've said, you've said your stuff now. We get it. You don't need to keep going on about it. And that seems like that's the media's sort of angle when it comes to Black Lives Matter. So is it done? Is Black Lives Matter done? Are we finished?
I think when you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, it was so huge and it was so monumental that, and it sparked so much change that we saw little changes here and there, like change with the monuments and the statues being brought down by the general public. You know, riots happening, protests happening. I think something that huge that sparked the whole world and lit the whole world, I say it lit the whole world on fire. It can't just burn out, and it can't just you know, vanquish into thin air just so quickly. I think now that it's happened, for me, it can never be played out. But forces will try and play it out. Forces will try and vanquish it. So like the media. I think the media right now, all they do is they push their agenda of what's happening at the moment. They're a very in the moment type of platform, type of persona, and I feel like they take a minority viewpoint and they blast it all over the media to make it seem like a majority. So say for instance, with the diversity, you know, them performing about the Black Lives Matter movement and then getting all these complaints. I think, for me, I think that was a small minority group of people really thought that, yeah, why is this being played? Why is this, like, we've heard you. But then I think the media now boosted it or exaggerated it and made it seem like the whole country was thinking that. Because when I looked at that, it made it seem like everyone in the UK felt this way, or everyone who supported diversity felt this way, that they're overdoing the whole Black Lives Matter movement. And that's not the case, because I look through social media, I look like through their comments and whatnot, and there are generally people, you know, supporting them, saying the movement's not done, we're here for you, we support you. So I think it's a thing of being misled in some cases by the media and being told of views that are not your own, but because they are views of those who are in higher statuses and in more important roles, that they get cast on you, and you are forced to think this is reality. But yeah, but to answer the question, I think it's not done and dusted. Something this huge can't be taken away like that. It's either it fizzes out gradually, or we just keep moving and moving and moving. But yeah.
And it's absolutely true what you're saying, because even though according to stats, it was the fastest and most popular complaint that the ITV has ever got, and it was like over 20,000 complaints, and everyone thinks, oh my gosh, like 20,000 is such a big number, but that's the number of complaints, not the number of people complaining. So one person could have made multiple complaints. Also, there are around 68 to 69 million people in the UK. So 20,000 out of 68 million is such a tiny number, such a tiny percentage. But of course, as you said, it gets blown up that people like Ashley Banjo and people who are trying to support the moment sort of feel like the whole country is attacking them because of how much it gets exaggerated, as you said, which is completely true. So speaking of that again, because at the bottom of, and thank you, Black Man Funked. We'll get to your question in a second. I just want to ask this important question, because you segued it again very, very nicely. Because at the end, or on, like, if you go on the Britain's Got Talent page, there are actually a lot of complaints or negative comments underneath the picture that they posted to sort of celebrate Diversity's performance right after they performed. And one thing that people keep saying and will always, or have always said, is the phrase "all lives matter." So what do you say to "all lives matter"?
I think it's a very simple thing. All lives can't matter until the lives who are being attacked, or the lives who are being jeopardized, the lives who are being taken are not in danger anymore. It's like I don't know. In my mind, I think about it a lot, and it's so simple. When you talk about all, you talk about everyone. So instantly, when people say all lives matter to a Black Lives Matter post or comment or article, anything like that, instantly I'm thinking, okay, in your eyes of all, you're not thinking about me. You're not thinking about me because I'm the life who is being targeted. So how can my life matter when I'm being targeted in your eyes, which is all? So it's like, so already there's a double conflict there. It's like, in your eyes, I'm not all, because yes, I'm being targeted, but you know, all lives still matter, and it will always still matter. And I think all lives do matter, because all lives matter translates into humanity. All of humanity's lives matter. But there's a segment, or there's a small margin of humanity and race who aren't being showed the kind of care and the kind of acknowledgement that they deserve, and who are actually being, I say this again, targeted, who are actually being hurt and left in devastating experiences. So every time I encounter someone who says all lives matter, or who push this propaganda upon me, I just say to them, then I guess I'm not in your persona of all lives, because you obviously don't see me as a life when my life is being targeted. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's something so simple. It's like already there's a conflict in that person's mind of saying all lives matter, because how can you say that such a universal statement when all over the news, all over the world, you're hearing that a certain sector or certain segment of lives, of human lives, are not mattering, but still you claim that all lives matter. So it just shows me that, once again, there are people in this life, people in this society, who actually, they don't know it because they're so ignorant to the thought of it, but they don't view my life as a life of humanity, in a sense, because they can't seem to see my struggle. They can't seem to understand it or perceive it properly. They just see it as it's a one-off. It probably, I call them the buts or the ifs, or the, yeah, but this is that, yeah, but that this. They can't just seem to understand it right there. It's literally staring at you, but still they're so willfully ignorant to the fact that is the truth. So yeah, I think every time I encounter someone, I try to keep my cool, because it just it gives me this different type of anger. But yeah, that's my viewpoint on it.
Yeah. So before we come to the audience's question, and guys, as I said at the beginning, this is a conversation between me and Bolu and all of you guys as well. So don't feel like you're excluded from this conversation. If you have any questions, put them down below. And if you do not want me to sort of read out that it's your question, then there's a question box that you can put your question in anonymously. So feel free to do that as well. So what was the moment like, Bolu, when you were first impacted by this moment? When were you first inspired inspired to do something about it?
So for me, so at the time I was still in school, and there had been news. So funny enough, the whole thing got set into motion after George Floyd's death. But for me, it started way past that. And it started like very, in its small amounts, from the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. Those are the deaths that I saw on social media, and they started to spark a little like feeling inside of me of, I need to know what is happening, and I need to research this, because it's like we just got into 2020. Things are seeming good, but it's like the past is following us, and we can't seem to leave it behind. And it kind of, their deaths, their tragic deaths, it reminded me so much of things we're trying to leave in the past. So that's when it really started for me, started impacting me. And then obviously when we witnessed George Floyd's death, and we got the whole news coverage of it, it's kind of like I said before, in the previous questions, it's that initial feeling of sadness. It's like, it's this sorrow you feel, because not even from a point of, yeah, he looks like me, so I'm gonna feel but just from a human standpoint, like that's another human who's being treated like that, and it's worrying to think that could be inflicted on others like me, or others who are different to me. But then obviously I come from a standpoint where, because I'm a black man, and he also was a black man, or he is a black man, it then puts ideas in my head of, okay, it's like having a target on your back and never knowing when you're gonna be hit, never knowing when you're gonna be in the shot, kind of mentality, which really impacted me. So yeah, I think that initial sadness, but I'm grateful that I had this feeling, because it's kind of like when the George Floyd murder happened, it kind of like burst all my feelings inside. My past feelings from the deaths of Breonna Taylor, my past feelings from the deaths of Ahmaud Arbery. Because like I said before to you, I'm always calm and composed when I witness these things, because it's always, I just say to myself, it's always good to be calm and composed. But when this finally blew up, and when this finally like reached the surface, it's kind of like the bottle lid just tipped open, and like all these emotions just flared out. Emotions of sadness, emotions of hatred, emotions of anger, emotions of fear. It all just came out. Definitely.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man. So our final question is going to be the audience's question, because your question is very similar to my last question, and it's, where do we go from here? Or the question says, what happens next? Do we just focus on ourselves, even though there are crumbs of change happening, or there are little bits of change happening? Do we focus on ourselves? Do we still focus on the issue? Do we still come together, or is it like an individualistic thing where we need to keep ourselves accountable, keep each other accountable? Or what do we need to do now? Where do we go from here?
Well, that's a tough question. I already, for me, I see a strong sense of community already. So it's not a thing of we need to support each other in the sense of lift each other up, because we've been doing that since I could remember, since before I was born. There's always been a strong sense of community within the black community and within our culture. I think it's now a thing of, I remember when the riots were happening, and when places like Walmart in America, all these banks and businesses were being destroyed. At first I thought to myself, oh, why are they why are they attacking those places and why are they doing that? But after some research, yes, it's coming from like anger and whatnot, but it's kind of strategic because it's hurting the system who puts these platforms in place in your communities to get everything they want from you, to get the resources that they want from you. So targeting the same bank who you hand, it's kind of like targeting those places who are using you for resources. It's hurting the system higher up in the long run. And yes, that's not I don't really agree with it because, like I said before, hate doesn't cure hate. But I think now what happens now is employing and literally just dropping people of our community into places that need service, places that need that community in them. So like I said, I would love to see more black men in the police force and not just acting as a police officer, because that's normal. A black guy could enroll for a police officer job, and through training and whatnot, he will get it. But it's now like it's working your way up in the system that is designed to bring you down. And the only way that you can do that is through supporting each other. It's kind of like a levee. It's pulling you up to get to the top where they all stand, and to get into that room where everything happens. Literally, all these decisions that affect your life happens. So, like I said, with like police officers, instead of becoming a police officer, you become a chief. You could become a deputy head. You become like one of the deputies or the heads of the police force in your county. In businesses, instead of being a worker, you strive to become a CEO. You strive to become a shareholder in the company. Things like this that put you in places of power, so that when decisions are made that affect you and your community, you are there with your own perspective view on it, because that could change literally everything. Instead of having a room of just middle-aged white men, yes, there'll be white people there, but now you have a room of young black men, a room of young Asians, a room of different cultures and ethnicities that have different mindset and views. So it's just beating the system that is oppressing you every day and just working towards that. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I think for me, that would be the best term of action to get into.
Yeah. And as you said, like, want to see more.
Get a seat at the table.
Yeah, 100%, because we want to see more black governors. We want to see more black COOs and CEOs. We want to see a black prime minister. That's what we want to see.
Yeah. We
want to see a black chancellor of the exchequer. Like, we want to see this, and we don't want to sort of, like, I would never raise my kids, or I never want to raise my kids in a world where my kid tells me they want to be prime minister and I have to tell them you can't, because no one's going to vote for you, and that's not because of your credentials, that's not because of how hard you work, that's just because of the way you've been born. Which you couldn't have helped, I couldn't have helped, my parents couldn't have helped, and everyone who came before me couldn't have helped. But something that you have been born with, people are now acting as if it's a birth defect that is going to hinder you from doing the job as well as a middle-aged white man, which is a mindset that this movement, I believe, is doing everything it can to kill. But yeah. Bolu, you've been absolutely incredible today on this live. If you've agreed with everything that's been said today, then I want you to put down below, I want you to put the word facts. Just put the word facts. because facts have been said, but also I thank you for your openness and your honesty in how you've been feeling as well. I really appreciate it. How have you found the experience?
Yeah, it's really good. Like just feeding off of like different opinions, you know, just it's always good. It's always good to learn different perspectives. It's always good to be able to just learn more about a situation and just, you know, put yourself in different other people's shoes and really open yourself up more, because that's the only way. Like I said before, you can't heal hate with hate. You gotta open yourself up more, and one day they'll come to you. So yeah, I loved it, man. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you for being available and making yourself available. It's been a really sick episode. So thank you again. Thank you so much, and thank you to everyone who has been listening. Thank you to everyone who is listening on YouTube. If you're watching on our Instagram feed as well, thank you for listening and watching. This has been our IG Live show, Young and Talented. Please follow all the Young and Talented pages and follow everything that we're doing, because Young and Talented is back open for the time being. And also make sure you check Bolu's socials out as well. They will be in the link down below. This has been I Can't Breathe, the show where air is free. See the change, be the change. Thank you so much again, Bolu. And I'll see you soon, yeah?
Thanks, guys.
All right.
See you.
Take care.
Take care, bro. Love.